Very friendly. All right, well, now I'm recording, now that you're saying these nice things.
Yeah.
That's so good to have you back.
Did you get that, or you want me to do it?
I want you to talk.
Oh, that's easy.
Are you paying any attention? You hear me say recording or anything?
It is the last stop. This is actually...
Right. That's right. It is, right?
Yeah, can I use that as a monitor? I wish
Absolutely.
I had a monitor, but that would be... How great would that be if there was a monitor behind him that I could see?
There's going to be a lot of stuff different the next time you are here. I don't know if you have been following or not.
Well, I did follow the thing, and it did say last stop before the tour, which is actually true.
Well, that's for you, your tour, but I'm saying the next time you're in this studio, it'll be significantly different.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's going to be...
We talked about that
going to be Kramer's apartment.
Oh, you really are doing it?
We're doing it. It's en route. As a matter of fact, all right, let's start the show first. Let's start the show. Hello, everybody. Why is it dark over here? Pitch black. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Today is Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. We are sitting here with comedian Richard Chassler. Welcome back, sir.
Hello.
Thank you. It is so good to be back here. I cannot even tell you guys how happy I am to be back here. I love the both of you, and I'm
my gosh.
This was such a good time last time, and you guys, you're actually a good host.
I'll take it.
You're
I'll take
a good
it.
host.
It's very nice. Very nice.
I didn't say
say
great.
Very nice of you to say.
I said good. I need the head in the room.
Okay. We'll keep it here.
You guys have the best location for a studio. I'm not kidding you. Within spitting distance of this window, there's a 99-cent store,
Yep.
Yes.
an Indian restaurant, and a bookstore that sells like books and plays and movie scripts and TV scripts.
Really?
Right next to
Is
the
it
Indian
next to the
restaurant.
Indian? Okay.
No shit.
Books and Bites. You've never seen it? Never been in there?
I haven't. We've walked over there a couple times, but I've never actually.
So you're not as intellectual as you look.
We go the other way.
I think, yeah.
Go the
You
other
dumb
route.
it down.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Go the other route.
Well, you know, I hear you. You got to keep it, simple for the simple folk.
You have to live in this society, don't you?
I have a very difficult time doing that. I refuse to conform to people's need for idiocy in order to feel better about their own laziness.
Yeah. I agree with that. How do you deal with it, though? I agree with the lack of tolerance for it, but how do you deal?
I'm going to answer that question. Well, I deal with it two ways. One, I deal with it through my comedy.
Excellent outlet, yep.
But I'm at the point in my life now where, in my act where you get the guy off stage, on stage, I call people out all the fucking time. I can't take it, and so I constantly hold people accountable to the truth.
Yeah.
And I am an asshole, apparently, because I
You're in the right room.
because I ask people to justify their opinion. I'm an asshole.
When they can't?
When I say, what do you base that on?
Yeah. Or what do you mean by that? Just
No,
asking
I know
anyone
what they
to
mean.
elaborate anything.
I know what they mean by it. I don't need to know what they mean by it. I'm smart enough to understand the meaning of the statement. I want to know upon what do they base it? Where did you learn facts that caused you then to form this opinion?
It seems like we're going about it in just a different
Is it
manner.
a logistic thing?
Yeah, I think I think we're in semantics. It's
okay.
awesome. It's awesome. I think we're on the same page, though. It's great.
Yeah,
You want someone to be accountable for their fucking words
I
because most
want
people are
people to be
regurgitating bullshit.
I want them to be accountable for their actions, too. Not just their words. I was at the Improv, I don't know, a month and a half ago, and I'm sitting at the bar, and it was one of those few nights where it's crowded. And I love the Improv, but I wish it was like it used to be at the bar. And it was one of these like crowded nights. And I'm sitting at the bar talking to my friend of mine, and some douchebag, capital M, millennial, reaches over in between the two of us and puts his hand on the bar to talk to Eddie, the bartender. And he's making a drink for somebody else, and he just like reaches over and he goes, "Hey, can I get something to drink?" And then he looks over at me after realizing he just knocked me and knocked part of my drink onto the bar, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I looked at him, I go, "That's a bold-faced lie. You are absolutely not sorry one fucking bit. Your behavior is selfish and self-centered, and as if you were in the room by your fucking self. And then when you kick someone, you have the nerve to apologize for it?
Yeah.
You went straight over me. You didn't even say, excuse me. What are you sorry for? Hitting me, spilling the drink, not having enough manners to say, excuse me? Like, exactly what are you fucking sorry for, dude? And the guy looked at me and he goes, whoa.
So you actually got all that out.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, you're not elaborating for this.
No, I'm not paraphrasing for this. This is what I said to the guy. And he looks at me and he goes,
oh, that's funny.
no, I don't embellish like
That's
that.
awesome.
I'm telling the story. And he goes,
That's awesome.
whoa. I fucking love you, man. And I go, what? And he goes, I don't know if you're an asshole or what, but Jesus, that was honest. I go, I don't love you. If you want something, go order it. Like, he annoyed me. So, like, I didn't need his patronizing me because I am, like, the one person in his life who stood up and made him go, oh, my God, you're an asshole. If he doesn't know he's an asshole, I don't need to be the guy. You know, like, society should awake that
So
in
you made
him.
your decision on the situation and then just kind of dug your heels in. That's what I'm hearing? Because I thought, like, oh, this thing was going to go another direction when this guy turned out to be cool. But you had made your mind up that he was definitely not cool.
No, he
was
wasn't. No. I don't. You don't get out of it by doing that. You would answer the question.
what-
You know what? You're right.
Okay.
I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. Like, I don't
Okay.
need to hear, whoa, I love you. Fuck you. I love me.
Good for you. Okay, I see where you're going.
You
You're
know-
already one step past where I was. Okay.
Yeah. That's trite.
Wow.
So now I guess I'm an asshole.
Well, I guess you can't go to the improv anymore.
Oh, of course. So now I guess
Clientele.
So I'm an asshole because I want people to behave the way they used to behave.
Now you're talking. I can agree with this. What do you mean by that?
When I was growing up, there was you were taught accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You were taught manners. You were taught to say yes, no, thank you, please.
Responsibility almost in general and polite society in general.
Well, responsibility is an all-encompassing word because if you're a responsible person, it doesn't mean, you know, oh, I didn't lose my keys. You know, I showed up for the meeting on time. Responsible is responsible to your existence, your humanity.
Agreed.
Your,
To
you know,
yourself.
other people's humanity, you know, to society and life as a whole, you know. And it's a universal term that is literally elevated to that level by the sheer word itself. You know, you don't have to do anything to it or augment it in order for it to be raised to that. It just is because the meaning of it is, you know, like love.
Dude, you are so fucking deep. Why the hell are you so angry?
Angry?
Is it for your work?
You
Is it for
sound-
comedy?
No, I'm not angry at all.
Because you are so deep and you're like all about the universal one and the whole
Not
thing. And I
angry
believe
at
in
all.
all that shit too. But you know what I mean? I thought maybe it was for your work where you have to keep the edge to
No, in fact.
be funny.
No, I mean, I'm an edgy person, I think, by nature. I'm told I'm intense.
So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just edgy and that's your comedy. It's so biting.
Yeah, I don't talk about edgy topics except for this new bit I'm doing about
Well, I'm not
dog
talking about
fucking.
material. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the guy behind the material.
Yeah, I'm edgy because I don't love bullshit. So if 95% of conscious society steeps itself in, you know, padded bullshit
Yep.
so that they can feel better about themselves for not being responsible. And 5% of us choose to actually be responsible people, then why does that make us angry? It's not about anger. It's about trying to inspire people to, you know, look at the bigger picture. You know,
Yeah.
25-year. When I was a kid, and I'm not kidding you, I really think I might have been 6 or 7 years old. It might have been the first or second Earth Day ever. One of the few things my mom ever did that like left a lasting impression was she took us out to collect cans along Caniag Rock Road on Long Island in front of the elementary school. There were all these cans back then when people littered.
Just
and,
chuck stuff out the window.
Yeah, the commercial with the crying Indian was
Yep,
played
yeah,
all
of
the
course.
time, you know.
You call it maze.
And it was back then, different commercial.
I know.
but yeah.
I know.
But yeah.
The same time frame.
One was a Mazzola commercial. The other
And
one,
what was the PSA?
By the way, one was a Mazzola commercial, which will kill you.
Oh, that
if
was the
you
Mazzola
eat
oil.
it.
That's right.
Yeah, and the other was to protect the earth, which we were killing.
Right.
Okay, difference between the two spots.
Advertising.
Yeah, But yeah, the Crying Indian commercial, it was trash everywhere. And we went out and picked up cans and then walked them to the recycling center. And like, I remember that. And ever since that day, I've never been a litter bag. I've always been a recycler.
That's the coolest.
You know, somehow when I was 8, I got connected to the Grateful Dead through a camp counselor. And so I became like a communal freaking Grateful Dead psychopathic hippie, and so I live by those principles, and everything I learned in the parking lot when I was 13 and 14 years old about like sharing your sandwich with somebody who doesn't have a quarter.
Yeah.
You know, like I live that way. I feed homeless people on the street as often as they need to be fed.
So
like
maybe I don't know enough about you, because this just became like the most interesting podcast I think we've done. I mean,
really?
When you started like, I don't like bullshit, and we started going down this road, and now you're talking about like, oh yeah, Earth Day, and when I was a kid learning these fundamentals, like this is important stuff that I think people in the world need to hear about.
You're
especially
saying that
today.
This is interesting, and I'm having a conversation with myself going, oh, I just turned this into the most boring interview ever in the world.
Well, you stopped performing for a minute and you started telling us about you, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
All you have to do is ask. This guy off stage, I talk about this on stage. Like, there's no difference. It's,
Good.
You know, nothing's mutually exclusive with me.
We should talk about that. All right. Well, hang on. Before we you're here because you're about to go on tour. Literally,
I am.
This is your last stop before like packing to leave.
This
in
is
the
my
morning.
last day. Like, I forgot when I booked this show that put that camera on.
Yeah, it's
Give
on.
me 3.
You
I
got
forgot when I told them that I was going to come do this show last week. I thought I was leaving the day after tomorrow, which would be Thursday the 7th, or Thursday the 9th, which it's not. It's the 10th. And, you know, I just fucked that all up. So I said, yeah, I'll come Tuesday. And then night before last, I checked the ticket that the tour manager sent me, and it turns out I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So
But look who didn't cancel.
Yeah, I did not cancel. I had a million things to do, and twice I opened that email thinking, but I did not do it.
Man.
Yeah,
Way to be
literally.
professional.
I just have
We
to.
should probably throw to producer Kate there, our first producer / our first cancellation, who came back and brought a duplicate of herself so that she would always be here.
Kate over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah,
Do
but-
you need to like say something to Kate every day now since
We
she's
usually
here
do.
all the time?
We usually ask,
do.
hey, how'd it go, Kate? And then this is generally the answer, because she's over there with the thumb.
Oh, we got to ask Kate some questions, and then you got to
Anytime you
cut
want.
to Kate.
Of course, I know how to do it anytime you want.
Oh, Kate, I've got some things to ask you.
She makes us feel good about ourselves. That's
Oh,
for
Kate,
sure.
how would you like to get gangbanged by an entire
No,
NFL football
That is
team?
the wrong question to ask in this room.
Oh, yeah.
Delete.
Nope,
Oh,
nobody
really?
in there.
Oh, I thought
No.
we were gonna
Crickets
get,
and wind.
Oh, I thought we were going to get 2 thumbs up from Kate.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it would have. I think the different question. Unfortunately, the equipment wouldn't go to her on that.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
know what happened there. I think it was a technical difficulty.
Sorry about that.
I can't be, I mean, a host, a director, I can't
don't
do it
know
all.
Kate. I don't know her, so did I step over a line with Kate?
No,
I just think
it's just-
with women in general, I'm
Oh,
just gonna throw that hand up
I
there.
guess.
She's a married
Well,
mom. Like, it's different.
all right, let's walk it backwards then.
I think it was a compliment that you thought Kate was somebody who
worth
could,
Handle it.
Yeah, there you go.
Worth it
I
for
said
sure.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
look
getting
at her.
there,
She's got a
but
nice
sure.
big smile on her face.
She's-
Kate, how'd you like to eat 4 Big Macs?
Now, she was a producer on The Daily Show in real life and many
She doesn't want
others.
Big Macs either, apparently.
I don't know about that.
She might
Big
like
Macs.
them.
You don't know. Some people have McDonald's fetishes.
You could be right about that. So we're going to get to the tour in 1 second, but something I do want to talk about, Mrs. Ryan,
Yeah.
because
What, political correctness?
no. We have. I'm going to put the Chiron up there. There we go. It's Set Tracker 3000 Plus, the desk and
no.
chairs across America tour.
Holy crap!
Oh, wow.
It's a
Tomorrow?
real deal. So let's cut to. All right, here is the map. Allow me to go over to the tracker center.
Holy cow! We're getting it for real.
Yeah.
We started up here.
I have a very interesting question about this, by the way. So, can I?
I'm going through something right here. So we started up here, and now currently the desk and chairs currently are here. That is Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
I've not worked there.
Okay, well, here's some photos on Wikipedia. City in the U.S. There's 45,900 at the 2010 census. Estimated population of 46,805 in 2015.
807 now with the 2 guys driving the truck.
See, there you go. So there you go. Hattiesburg was named in honor of
I could
Hardy's
guess.
wife, Hattie.
No
That.
kidding.
There you go.
Whose wife?
Hardy, the founder, William H. Hardy.
Well, good
Civil
job.
engineer.
Billy Hardy, who founded Hattiesburg, didn't really like the name Hardee'sburg. Because I'll tell you why. He was actually the founder of the Hardee's hamburger chain at the time and thought, I don't want my town named after a hamburger chain.
Right.
So he thought, my 400-pound wife, Hattie, she's a looker, and what a pretty name. Let's name the town after her.
Nailed it.
See, I'm not politically correct, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not politically correct, okay?
Sure.
This is deep, too.
I'd love to hear.
Okay?
Go deep, man.
I think that political correctness has set every single rights movement back 50 years.
Agreed.
I'd like to hear what you mean by that.
Well, it's pretty simple. The substrate I use in the example is in 1973, CBS was able to, on a Saturday night at 8 p.m., put All in the Family on primetime TV. Mm-hmm. You couldn't do that today. And it's because people have no understanding of what it means to be able to understand what race relations is about. And All in the Family exposed the stupidity of hatred in so many different ways. The ignorant just saw it as, this guy's a racist. But eventually they saw that the character of Archie Bunker was a catalyst for all the stupidity that all of us at one point or another exemplify with anything that's different or that we don't understand. I hate to say it, but I think Spike Lee was the guy who put the brakes on that. I really do. I think he stepped up and decided that, I don't know if it was when Malcolm X came out, but I think Spike Lee was one of the reasons why political correctness, that movement, started.
I don't know where I'm not sure about that, but I want to agree with you wholeheartedly right up until this part where I want to actually hear more. All in the Family specifically, I love that you use that as an example because that is actually how I learned about prejudice because I didn't grow up with it. And we've talked about this before on the show. I grew up in an area where you just weren't taught to hate. And watching that show, I love that show. That show, I have a passion for it. The phone behind you is a prop phone. That's the actual phone from All in the Family. That's the actual bunker house phone. There was only one.
The one phone they had.
It was from a table by the staircase where the little chair was.
I want you to understand that phone should not get comfortable on that show. It will one day wind up in the Chassler Museum, courtesy of the Rhines.
If there is a Chassler Museum,
there is.
Believe me.
You have no idea. Courtesy of the Rhines. It will be on loan.
You know it. That could happen sooner than you think. I'm absolutely open to it.
Oh, I'm taking it with me. Let me tell you how soon it's going to be. About 20 minutes.
You have a flight to catch. They don't allow that shit to go on.
I'm going to be sitting on that flight.
Dingy.
Anyway, I learned about that show. Now, here's the irony. Because I was a little bit younger, I actually saw The Jeffersons first. So it was Jeffersons, for those who don't know, was a spin-off. First of all, these are both old shows, for those who don't know. And then for those who don't know further, The Jeffersons was a spin-off of All in the Family because George Jefferson was the neighbor. They're moving on up. The song Moving On Up, they're moving on up from Hauser Avenue next to the bunkers.
Think about all the brilliant spin-offs that my hero made after that show. Everything political, everything had something to say. Norman Lear was a
I was
freaking
assuming you're talking about Norman Lear.
Maude.
Love Maude. Lady Godiva was a freedom rider.
Maude only lasted 2 seasons.
It was B. Arthur, by the way.
But, that pushed a lot of buttons with a lot of people. She was like the ultimate woman's liver.
Yeah, and then there's Maude.
And then there's Maude.
And then there's Maude.
Exactly.
Big time.
The Jeffersons put a mixed race couple
that was the best.
In a high-rise Upper East Side apartment.
They were the neighbors.
They were the neighbors to the Jeffersons. Roxy Roker, Lenny Kravitz's mom.
Yep.
Played the mother.
That's so cool. I did not realize that. I just said yep like I knew that, but I realized I just took in that information. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And that had never been done before. All in the Family.
The gist of it was George Jefferson was a successful dry cleaner owner or whatever.
Dry cleaners.
And he was successful. He was a successful black man. And he left the bunkers. The bunkers stayed on Hauser Avenue, and he moved on up to the high rise with his wife.
Gotcha.
And that was like a big deal back then because why this black man is doing better than this white man? What's going on? This is on television? What's going on?
You were a publicist. You don't know this?
It was before. It was so
You
long
don't.
ago.
My job is so different than I think what you think it is. But I know. And
I dated
and
a publicist. Remember?
Here's the thing. I also have a neurological disease.
Oh,
so
yeah,
go
that's
fuck
right.
yourself.
I forgot,
But
sorry.
second, really, the big part of it is that it's so much more than the facts that you've named.
Right.
And that's what I was good at publicizing, the emotional behemoth behind the facts. And so when you guys were talking earlier, your whole thing is why you're kind of a dick, and I love you for it, but you guys are the same in that way. You just want the emotion to be clear and good, and you want the intellect to be clear and good. And those end up looking really different, but you have the same message all the time,
Yeah.
the two of you. So
That's pretty darn cool.
You would have been, I wish you were still doing PR because I would hire you in a freaking heartbeat.
you can't afford me.
I know. $9,000 a month.
That's not true.
And that's only part-time. That's only to have you on. No, I'm just kidding.
Someday you'll get there to the level where you can afford someone that does such good things.
We're working on it.
Can't
We're
wait
almost
to
there.
see
As
it.
soon as Hots and I sell
Keep
this
that
show.
tour.
As soon as,
That's it. I was
as, soon
gonna
as we
say,
sell this
one more show.
we're close.
Good.
We're getting there.
All right, so let's talk about tour. You're about to go on tour.
I am about to go on tour.
Who are you going on tour with?
I'm opening for my pal, the great Nick Swardson.
We're
Great.
both big fans. Yep.
Yeah, my buddy
This
Nick
is Ryan
Swardson.
used to work with.
Yeah. And who, by the way, sends his love.
Hi, Nick. That's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Hi,
Nick is,
Swardson.
when I told him, he writes back and he goes,
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
yeah. So we are, Nick has got like this crazy tour going, and I'm doing a couple of different legs with him.
Sure.
And this particular leg is the East Coast leg. So
Oh, cool.
It's Florida, it's Orlando on Thursday. See, that's why I thought I was traveling Thursday.
So your first show is Thursday, and you don't have a travel.
Sorry.
Apparently, I'm traveling tomorrow, not Thursday. So it's Thursday night in Orlando, Friday night in Tampa, Saturday night in Fort Lauderdale. I had no idea Florida loved Nick Swardson that much that we got to do 3 cities in Florida.
I'm guessing
yeah.
Reno 911, right?
Yeah.
That whole thing they did that in Miami.
Yes, that's right. That's right. They love
They
Terry.
love him. He's the winning character from that show.
No doubt
by
about
far.
it. No
Roller
doubt about it.
skates.
Yeah,
Always
he's
have
so
roller
Always
good.
on roller
He's
skates.
So good.
And then we go to Charleston, South Carolina. And then we're off for a few days. I'll be in New York City doing shows. So if you're in New York, catch me around New York City. Check my
Where are you
Twitter.
playing
my
in New York
Yeah.
City?
Waiting for dates, probably Gotham in the Stand.
Okay.
And
How's that room now?
The Stand?
The Gotham.
It's great.
Yeah.
Did they change it?
No, I just haven't been there in a really long time. And the last couple times I was there was at the Comedy Cellar. So I didn't know.
Now that I heard changed a little bit. Was there? Oh no, there was a controversy about the table. They
Yeah.
moved the comedian's table.
Right.
Was there a thing with that? I don't want to get you involved in a story you're not involved in.
I'm
Was
not
that
really
a part of a thing?
Well, I know that upstairs at the Olive Tree, the Mediterranean restaurant that is connected to the Comedy Cellar, upstairs, which is owned by Esty, the same people.
Same guy. Okay.
The table in the back is where the comics always sit. I haven't been to the cellar. In fact, I just emailed her last week for spots when I'm in town, so I'm waiting to hear back on that too.
hopefully.
I haven't been there in about a year, so I don't know if something happened with the
Gotcha.
comedian's table at the Comedy Cellar.
I had heard or read or somebody told us something. I
There
don't
was an
even know the
article
story.
that came out that they moved it to accommodate a refurb in the kitchen or something.
Oh,
And
yes,
so-
because it was right next to
Yeah.
the kitchen.
And apparently there was a hubbub that was big enough that got it moved back because the comedians couldn't see the stage or hear what was going
I
on.
think it was a privacy issue. All of a sudden,
No,
they
Yeah.
weren't.
I will tell you what
Oh,
it
here
is.
we go.
The position
Good.
of the... Okay, now I understand.
Thank you.
So the position of the comedian's table at the Comedy Cellar, which is upstairs in the restaurant, the Olive Tree, is literally right off the kitchen. And the bar is adjacent to it, and above the bar there's a monitor that you can see
The stage. Right?
what's going on. So if
Right.
you're up next, you can see like, oh God, the MC's back on. I got to run
Run
downstairs.
downstairs.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe that is what happened. They were like, we can't see the monitor anymore.
I feel like that was part of it, and it was also like open to the public visually.
That's what I remember.
Yeah, we were out of the way.
And so the Comedy Cellar is one of those really incredibly special places that famous comedians go to work out
every night. You can see Chappelle, Chris Rock, Jeff Ross.
And
I
they
feel
don't
like it was Chris
promote
Rock
it.
talking about this.
I read Chris. He was, I think, on tour for the special that's out now. So it was like a lot of light on him to see what was going on. But everyone gentrifies and upgrades their area. Like, it is what it is. So
yeah,
you have to, and I get that. But it got brought to their attention that this was maybe not the smartest way to do it, and they accommodated it. So it's one of those beautiful, special places that comedians need to have. So as long as they made everyone happy and people can still enjoy it, and comedians can still enjoy being there, like.
They did this to the Improv, and like it's not the same place anymore. People don't even go anymore because of it. Seriously,
it's different. It feels different in there.
It feels different because they, for whatever the story is, they got rid of the raised area. They took the second staircase out. Bud's table is no longer.
Are you serious?
Bud's table's gone?
Well, technically there's a table there, but the staircase they sealed up that went also upstairs back there, and it's just one floor now. There's not like you don't step up into the railing in that area.
That was the whole point. That was what it was nice back there. They had the curtain and like you could hang out back there.
You step down to sit in those tables on Melrose. Like, it was just a cool room. Now it's just whatever, you know. I hate change. What can I tell you?
Those are the things that got me into coming out here and everything, because I grew up with Evening at the Improv and all that stuff, the A&E show way back in the day.
Sure.
So it was like when I got to Los Angeles and got to go to that room, and it was, with the exception of the neon, which I think had been taken down by then, it was still the same place, And I was like, for you, in your purposes of what's that face?
I'm thinking, what neon?
Oh, maybe it was for the show. Maybe there was an A&E.
Oh yeah, that was only they only put that up for the shoot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, but a kid in Connecticut growing up, I don't fucking know that.
Well,
to me,
should.
I'm like, oh, that's the Improv.
You should.
Why is that?
Before you get off the plane, you ask the stewardesses, "What do I need to know about Hollywood?"
Oh, see, now I was too afraid.
I
was too nervous back then. I forgot to ask.
They should pass that out when you land in LA. Like when you come in from an international flight, they give you that thing to fill out. Like, what do you? Yeah, they should hand
produce that kind of thing.
Right. They should hand you like an info sheet about like things not to say to look like a tourist in Hollywood. No, I'm just kidding.
Which way to the Comedy Store?
Yeah, exactly.
No one would follow that.
Do you know where famous people live?
Oh, jeez.
Well, speaking of rooms, the Comedy Store. Do you go up at the Comedy Store?
I was just there the other night, not performing, but I was there.
That's a room that, from what I've heard from most people, has remained remarkably the same. Is that what you would you agree with that?
No, not even
really
at all.
Okay.
The Comedy Store has gone through
physically, I mean,
renaissance.
Physically, the room.
Yeah, it hasn't changed since I've known it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of neat,
though. Does
that
keep the vibe the same inside?
That's what I'm getting at.
Super neat to me too, but
no, it's an interesting thing. Back in the day, and when I say back in the day, when I started doing stand-up in 1986, like, comedy was different. There were not as many comics or people trying to be comedians as there are today. I like to call them aspiring comedians because they're really not comedians. No offense to any of you fuckers, but like, put in your time.
You're not the only one that says that.
They think they're headliners because there's a meme that says they're the last person to go on. So they, hello, I'm headlining Bob's Bowling Alley. A, no, you're not. B, it's a bowling alley.
I think the disclaimer there is the bowling alley. He is headlining the bowling alley.
No, he's not even headlining, though. It's really not. We're not even going to get into that. I've got an article. I wrote an article about this topic.
Okay.
That's going to be coming out in Stand Up Comedy Magazine. I love that snort.
Good. So this will be published, or it's published. We'll be able to read it soon.
You'll be able to read it soon. In fact, when it comes out, I'll
Please
send you the link.
Please, I'd love to talk about it on the show. Or have you back when it's published.
Right.
You're back in town.
But in 1986, it was different. And the Comedy Store was like this. It had a darker, brooding sort of vibe. And it always had like this sort of like stormy, thundering cloud over it. Where the Improv was always like this, like Bud Friedman's Improv. And it was the place where comedy was born. And then they had every major star, Bud pretty much, not taking anything away from Mitzi. Mitzi certainly clawed out a lot of talent. But, Bud was...
Well, I was going to ask, what was the Improv before the Improv, the room? Was it anything that we know?
It was, actually. The improv was called, give me a minute and I'll think about it.
Sure.
And it was a music club, and there was a fire there, and it closed down. And then when Bud came west, he took that space.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there is an interesting history there as well.
Yeah, that was a music room or a music club.
Well, what makes me think of Ciro's, the Sunset, the comedy store.
Right.
That has a, I mean, you said there was a cloud. I know there was a Mitzi cloud, of course, for many years, but there was also who knows what the fuck happened there before it was the comedy store.
We know what happened there before it was the comedy store. It was a place that was one of those hot spots in LA, and all the mobsters hung out there, and they had free run of the place, basically. And we know that people were killed there.
For sure,
We
right.
know that the belly room, upstairs where the belly room is,
Yeah.
so that was an attic room that a woman used to perform illegal abortions in.
And didn't that eventually, or Mitzi made it like the female comedian room?
Yes.
It's a fucked up name
And I
for it,
believe
if that's the case. It's the
and-
most fucked up name in the
And
history
I
of
believe
comedy.
that's why.
I wouldn't put it
Predicated on
past her. I
that.
wouldn't
No,
put it
but
past her.
yeah, in an homage to that. Now, about 8 or 10 years ago, and you can watch this on YouTube, they did a paranormal tour, and they had some psychics come in
Yes.
or whatever. 5 ghosts. They
No
were
shit.
absolutely able to speak to and identify.
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And they exorcised 3 of them.
And
They
the
got-
idea was these were people who were killed there or died there or something?
all different people. One of them
Wow.
was the abortion lady.
Whoa. The
Yeah.
lady herself.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
cleared
a
out the
neat
belly
thing.
Or
room.
maybe a woman who died getting an
Sure.
abortion, I think
There
is
you
what
go.
it was. I think it was a woman who had died in that room getting an illegal abortion. Yeah. I guess they left to get help, and it took too long, and she died while they were getting. God, if I remember that correctly, that'd
Wow,
be
Now
pretty
it's
cool.
now
know
it's the
a
ha-ha
lot.
hole.
Yeah, I know. I'm like that. I love facts.
No,
See,
I
I
asked,
love facts.
But I straight
Which
up
is
asked
great.
that.
And
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I love that about you because you can regurgitate them, just soften them up a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
I can do that. Hold on. No, Senator. The price of the license is nothing.
You just mentioned Senator. Did you see that the NRA just got a new president yesterday?
I did.
Did you see who it is?
Yeah, good old Ollie North.
To the best of my recollection, sir, I do not recall. How about that?
Yeah,
Wow, he's back in the news.
that won't last.
How old is he? Do you have any
That's
idea?
a good question.
Well,
Wasn't that shit like in 82, 83 from my memory? It was early 80s.
yeah, so you got to figure.
He was
I don't know,
40-ish then,
Beelzebub is what? 3,000? 4,000? I don't know. What?
I just remember I didn't follow politics until recently, but I remember the Gulf War being a big deal, and there was those things all over trees and shit.
This was way before that.
I was
When I-
editor-in-chief of my
before
high
the-
school newspaper.
Were you?
When
cool is
when
that?
Oliver North was like a big deal. 'Cause
How
I
about
remember
when-
his name, I just don't know
When
why.
James Watt was a big deal.
I
Wow.
don't even know who that is.
James Watt. I know him from the Carson bit where he was playing Reagan from the Reagan
Okay,
administration.
so- right. Do you know who he was?
He was chief of staff?
No. He was the Secretary of the Interior.
Secretary of
And
Interior.
James Watt.
That's what it was.
Every year on July 4th, they do the July 4th concert on the
Fireworks.
Washington Mall and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
So one year they hire the Beach Boys. This is 1982, I think. It's got to be 82 or 83. They hire the Beach Boys, and it comes out that the Beach Boys are going to be headlining the concert on the Washington Mall.
Big deal.
James Watt goes ballistic and says no, because Secretary of the Interior runs national parks, and so this is all. So he says absolutely not. The Beach Boys stand for drug abuse, and not the element we want. Instead, we'd rather have somebody more wholesome.
Like the Grateful Dead.
No, step on my punchlines. Wayne Newton.
What?
So I wrote an opinion in my high school newspaper about this, about saying that the Beach Boys, who play surf music, were the wrong element, but hiring a guy who performs in a town built on gambling and prostitution is
For the mob, specifically for the
is a
mob.
better element. You know,
Well, now
Who is it? Who was that?
That was a friend of mine.
All right, nobody who gets a shout out, I guess.
No, he doesn't need Chris Dana, but we do. We dabble in some real estate
Are
stuff.
you going to talk
Fair
about
enough.
going to dinner at 5 o'clock for an hour like you did last time?
I don't know. Did I go to dinner at 5 o'clock?
I'll see you at 5. I'll see you at 5.
Oh.
I'll see you at 5.
Oh yeah, same guy. Same guy.
That is funny.
I
That's
love
pretty
him,
funny.
but
I didn't know where you were going.
I
That's
love
pretty
him,
funny.
but some people just won't let you get off the phone. All right, I'll see you at 5. So listen, about this fantasy football thing.
Like, can't we talk about it at 5?
Save it for
You
dinner.
were adorable. You were so polite. You kept saying, "I'll see you at 5." I was like, I would have hung up the phone 17 times.
Right,
I'm
see-
such a bitch.
Well, here's the thing. If I were a dick, I would have
I
not
know,
done.
and you're
That's why I'm not a dick. That's the thing. Me wanting to hold people accountable to a certain level of humanity doesn't make me a dick. It makes me, I think, a better person than you. No, I'm kidding.
So after
Just
the judgment,
joking.
is there ever a meet in the middle or anything like that? Because you make the decision, and then it's kind of like, well, fuck you, you're the asshole, and like, but does that guy ever get a chance to redeem himself? Or
Everybody. The beautiful thing about life, I think this was Fitzgerald who said, the great thing about life is that every day you get to start again.
I've not heard that.
I think it was Fitzgerald.
I get it. So it's up to him to tomorrow put his thinking hat on,
Every day
and
you
then
can
tomorrow you wake up and he's going to be hopefully a better guy tomorrow.
consciously every day you can say, I don't like that I go ballistic in traffic. I need to take control of that. And you either go to an anger management class or you talk to someone
So
who's
you are very interested in yanking the Band-Aid off, but very little interested in the actual improvement process. That's up to everybody
No,
to do
absolute-
themselves, right?
First of all, no. Second of all, I'm not a self-help guru that people are paying to. If you want me to be your life coach, sure, call me, message
Well, but
me.
in all fairness, the guy
Info at
probably didn't ask
richchassler.com.
for the awakening at all either.
What I think more is that I think that people have a moral obligation to recycle and to inspire other humans to be the best humans they can be. I don't think it's our responsibility to hold somebody's hand and write the letters for them on the paper.
Agreed.
But if you show up in a way that your behavior exemplifies your words, then I think it's almost impossible not to leave some sort of positive impression on other people that go, wow, that guy does what he says. Maybe even unconsciously thinks that, but your actions, that saying actions speak louder than words. Well, it's true even in silence because you notice things even unconsciously
Right.
or subconsciously. I think it's unconsciously. You would notice things and then it's subconsciously.
No, I think you're right. With unconsciously, I think. I always trip them up, but I think you're right.
And then you notice things and they embed themselves in your psyche somehow. And then you may wind up taking on a behavior. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I never noticed I did that before because you didn't.
There's
And
these
it's
subtle
something
dings
new.
of correct answers every time you say something because clearly it's like checking, yes, you are right.
But you have to, we people have to show up in a way that, makes other people want to show up in a way.
I love that. I love everything you're saying.
That's the thing, And that's why, by the way, that's why I get to go on stage and do what I do and say what I say, because this is who I am, and I guess this behavior buys me favor to tell everybody, show up or shut up.
Yeah.
Your courage buys the favor to do that. That's the difference. That's what comedians do. They say what everyone thinks. And I did that, except not on a stage, and that did not go over well.
No, people don't like people who challenge the status quo.
No, but that's the comedian's job, and I was doing it as a hobby, apparently.
People, in my opinion,
Right.
people are fighting so hard to maintain the status quo
Yeah.
that the sheer idea that you're fighting against them is like crazy, and you're telling them that their belief system of like the status quo is where it's at, is a fallacy. Yeah, no, people can't handle that even a little bit.
That doesn't go
I
over
think
well.
in some place. I think sometimes
If it's entertainment, fine. You know, you're on a stage, you're doing a job.
Well, this is where you followed your dream to become a comedian. You learned the rules of the road, so to speak. Like I did not, and so I looked at them intellectually. I looked at my surroundings. Like they can say that, they can say that, they can say that. That person's Indian, that person's black, that person's white and orange. Like who cares? And so all of that intellectual shit went away, and it just left like the emotional thing that we all have in common. Well, people don't like that pointed out to them, no matter what your intellectual mask that you're putting over the joke
of course,
is.
Because we fear what we don't understand. And when you point something out to somebody that they're not acknowledging it for a reason.
But you choose to do that for your job.
Well, I choose to do that every day in my life,
Right.
not even in my job. And that's because I feel that there's so much more in that aspect of my being alive to encounter, you know? I mean, I admit it. I spend too much time watching TV, you know? So sometimes I don't suck every possible delicious minute out of life because tomorrow you never know. Get it by a bus. But, you know, in my conscious moments, I certainly try to wring out the sponge. And, you know, if people happen to just get caught in those nooks and crannies while I'm wringing, I'm sorry.
That is what makes you
Casualty of progress.
You know? Yeah. It's just how I see it, you know?
It's the good stuff.
I think that's the good stuff, you know? And by the way, that's the stuff that leads you because it becomes unconditional. You see, that's the word that people just will not at all embody. They won't take it on because it requires what?
Letterman.
No,
Responsibility.
Thank you. I was about to say.
Yes.
Thank you. I was about to
Nice
say.
job.
Let's ring this all the way through because it requires responsibility.
And you said earlier, the all-encompassing responsibility.
All-encompassing. Yeah.
You have to look at every piece of yourself in order to accommodate responsibility. Sometimes that's like mentally such a block for people.
How many people out there, percentage-wise, do you think are actually square with themselves? I mean, like with the house. I mean, people who actually are comfortable in the person that they are.
Zero.
Really?
I think even the Dalai Lama, when he's falling asleep, has silent thoughts like, shit, I can't believe I farted in the airport and pissed those people off.
Absolutely, but he's aware of it. But he's aware of it. But awareness to me is
key. But he didn't take accountability for it to the people.
He did to himself.
He crop dusted people. Where this is a hypothetical,
of course.
The Dalai Lama crop dusted a family of 4 at the United Terminal and didn't apologize for it. So now he's got to own that behavior.
Yep.
And you can be square with yourself about it, but if you're really that self-actualized, you're going to want to reach out to those people that you wrong. You know what I mean?
I do, of course. But all right, so say in that one, it's not possible because you're never going to find those 3 people. But what about if you do it up here at night before you fall asleep?
Yeah.
Is that the same thing at all?
I think, sure, if you're not... Look, it's just like I said before. I really think all you have to do in life is just show up in a way that's honest and present.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't mean perfect. You said before the dollar, you know.
First of all, perfect is a very terrible word. It's poison. It virtually doesn't exist. And if you achieve it, you're done. It's boring because once you achieve perfection, then what's left? So what are you then searching for or working for or painting for, whatever the art is? Yeah.
I believe you then search. I believe that's where we are as a society right now when it comes to stuff, things, cars, objects, furniture, whatever. I think we're in that place where everything can be made with a 3D printer, where everything can be identical, everything can be exactly the same. I believe that after everything is perfect, you then look for imperfection. And that, I believe, is where the art is found.
How can you find imperfection?
How do you mean?
It's perfect.
We're
going to have this conversation. Hold on.
No,
hold on, excuse
me.
me.
Go ahead, of course.
You just took me on.
Go ahead.
And I am going to hold you accountable to your contradiction.
I don't seem to have a problem with this.
I know you don't. Perfection's perfection. There are no imperfections in perfection. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's why... for example, like when you fall in love with somebody, we don't fall in love with somebody because they're perfect. We're not attracted to their perfection.
So now we're getting into a relativity.
No, we're
discussion.
not. Hold on. You got to let me make my point here.
Fair
okay,
enough.
We fall in love with their imperfections. That's what keeps us excited. Okay, it's the thing that we notice.
God.
It's like the reason directors want to shoot a dirty frame instead of a clean frame. What that means is, like when you watch a movie, take notice sometimes you'll see the camera start in with a chain in the middle and then it'll slowly move around the chain. But that chain is what makes you, the viewer, go, oh, what's going on? Like it attracts you. There's something there, okay? The imperfection is the thing that keeps us working for something or looking for something. You said that you disagreed with me when I said that once perfection is achieved, if it even exists, you become bored because there's nothing more than to go for.
Then I think we're getting into a logistical...
This is not logistical. You said I disagree. You then start looking for imperfections. I then disagreed with you because there are none. That's a waste of life and time, and nobody would be that dumb. Perfection is perfection. We've achieved it. Now what? Now look to figure out why it's not perfect? Explain that.
I'm trying to.
Okay.
This is where I'm at with things. I find the world to be too perfect because of 3D printers, because of digitalization, because of just technology, where we've gotten with the world. Everything can be duplicated. Everything.
Right.
To fucking perfect standards. I mean, or the closest thing that we understand with this perfection.
But would you not say the thing being duplicated has to be perfect prior to duplication for the duplication then to be perfect? In other words, if I make a Rolls Royce with a 3D printer, is that a perfect car?
Not to me, but that's what's going on out there today. Whereas I'm going back to when cars using Rolls Royce was a hand, and they still are, but somebody else, call it Porsche, where they were handmade and they were imperfect and they weren't all identical and every single one is fucking different. That's what's perfect to me. Imperfection is what I look for.
Right, but...
Not a perfect...
I understand that, but we were speaking linearly about the word perfection specifically and achieving it on a physical level somehow, not on a metaphysical level or a theoretical level.
I think on the intellectual plane that you're talking about of like what words and blah, 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 totally fair. Except that you're looking beyond it and you're saying perfection's already reachable. So now what? And
saying a goal is attainable no matter what these days.
He's not the guy that loves perfection. He in fact really does not like it because of what it represents of like, he saw me break myself trying to be perfect. Like I'm an example of what that means.
Right.
And so,
but
not that he didn't believe it before, but like it resonated with him of like, what are we fighting for? Like, what does perfection mean? And like, what's the goal then? To your point of like, once you reach it, like if you don't know to look for cool like pieces that are imperfect, then go home. Like, what's the point?
I really think the comfort comes when you realize that you can be perfect in your imperfections.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Now you're talking about a space that I live in daily.
Right. And that is an intellectualization of yourself when you say, okay, I get it. I'm never dropping these 20 pounds. And I'm okay with that. And I'll still go to the gym and I'll still take my spin classes, but I will be a 6 forever and nothing's changing. And that's just the way it's going to be.
Well, now we're getting to where I was asking before with the people who are square with themselves.
But that becomes an issue of honesty.
Agreed. Again, responsibility, all of these things.
You know, and it's just all about showing up for yourself, showing up for other people, showing up for the planet, showing up for a stranger. Show up, man. That's my whole message in life is just fucking show up.
I love that.
You know?
I love that.
And I think that's the root of my frustration is that people just don't show up anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't show up anymore at all.
Something odd in life, but one of the things that has become one of my most favorite things to do, and this is a weird thing, is a weird little confession, grocery shopping. It's one of the rare places where I have interaction with strangers, like quite a bit of interaction with strangers.
You probably love the grocery store.
But I don't like people. I don't like talking to people. I can't stand, I'll avoid it. I for the most part, people don't offer me much.
Interesting. I didn't get that from you.
Right. You look like he needs an audience. He wants to go perform.
No, I just thought you were the kind of person who likes to have those interesting interactions with people, you know.
Well, I guess you're right, and maybe that's what I'm saying. But I don't seek them out. I just noticed that lately, since we've moved here, grocery shopping has been. It's a neat place to collect smiles. It's a neat place to get.
It's wonderfully human.
Get some shit go. Yeah, we're all in this together. Nobody wants to be buying fucking shrimp and frozen pizza or whatever people are getting. A weird combo. But it's an equalizer.
It is an equalizer because you have an opportunity in the grocery store. This is so weird that it's such a tiny microcosm, the grocery store, you know, but you have an opportunity in the grocery to show up in so many different ways for so many different people in
Totally.
45 minutes.
Huge.
You know what I mean?
Can we go down? I agree with you 100%.
Really?
Can we go
you
down
can
a couple?
You can help a handicapped person
That was my
or
first
a
one.
short person get something off a top shelf.
My first one, the old guy in the scooter,
Okay.
or the woman who can't reach the cat litter.
You can allow somebody who has one item or two items to go in front of your cart with 30, and so they can get the hell out of there. You know, there's so many ways for you to be a regular, decent, normal person.
And in that, showing other people how easy it is to do so.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You have to live by example all the time. And again, I'm fucking certainly not perfect. You know, I know where my shortcomings are, and I try to work through them, and but I'm conscious of them. You know, I certainly am conscious of them.
Dude, I think in this hour, you've become one of my favorite people. I'm so excited for you going on tour. Will you please? I'm conscious of your time.
I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to Best Buy today to buy a new video camera.
Okay,
dude.
good.
Nick was like, dude, last time we didn't take enough video, blah, blah. He doesn't even know I'm going to show up with a camera.
Can I just suggest that you use your iPhone? Like, don't make it a thing. Like, you're going to get such better stuff being lower key than like, look, I have a camera.
Really?
Yeah.
You think?
I personally agree these days, but I think you got to do whatever you're comfortable
all that
with.
Memory in the video,
Okay, fine.
and then you got to jack it out of the phone every day onto the computer, and then you're erasing it, and then if you complete, I don't know.
Delete
Could
what
be.
I said and do whatever
No, I
you
thought
want.
about that. That really was an option that I thought about. But I think if I have a camera, I think
It'll make you do it.
Not only that, I think it'll inspire Nick to take the
Cool.
camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Versus
right.
a phone. Yeah,
You're
you
right.
thought this through.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from a more,
Delete me.
Never.
Well,
Are
right.
you
But just what
kidding?
I said.
When
I can't wait to see the video.
Oh yeah, well, I'm going to shoot some.
What's the
good
name of the
stuff.
tour that Nick's on now?
Too Many Smells.
Too Many Smells with Nick Swardson.
It's
That's awesome.
Too many smells. Yeah.
All right. How can we find you? How can people find you and follow and stay up to date?
I am at richardchassler.com, so you can get me there. All of my social media is at Richard Chassler. That's CHAS as in Sayum, S as in Sayum, LER.
I do declare.
I do declare. Powerful warm, ain't it? Yeah, it's all at Richard Chassler. My tour schedule's on my website, Richard Chassler, along with my short film, my award-winning short film you can watch.
Pay attention for New York dates as well.
Pay attention for New York dates, which will go up as soon as I get them. And Vegas is up there too, June
right,
4th
Vegas.
through the 8th at Jokesters Comedy Club in the D Hotel in Vegas.
What are the dates there?
June 4th through 8th.
We should go out for that. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Shooting a TV show Monday the 4th there, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I didn't do the weekend. I'm coming home.
Okay.
I've just been gone so long. I just like I can do a whole week.
Good. Dude, I'm so excited for you. How do you feel after this? Are you
Like
good?
I need to get on a damn series.
Yeah, you should have a show.
You're so funny. You're like you get to live your dream and do stand up. I never wanted to do stand up. I never thought about being a comedian. It was an accident. A total accident. I was on a soap opera.
We got time. I mean, it's up to you. I'm conscious of your time. I'd love to hear it.
All right, I can tell the story. Oh, it's only 5 to 1. Yeah, I can tell the story. I was
Okay.
on a soap opera called Santa Barbara for a very short period
You were
of time.
not, really?
Yeah, I got myself fired from that one. Yeah, I didn't
remember
know.
that.
I wouldn't know. I had no guidance. Nobody told me how to behave on a set or don't talk to the director. And definitely don't ask him to do your scenes again because you're an under 5 guy. Nobody told me this. I'm just watching everybody else. Rory Calhoun and A. Martinez and Robin Wright. And I'm watching them and I'm like, oh, okay, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
It's my first job. Totally. So that only lasted a couple of weeks.
That's
and
amazing.
2 episodes. And I got a job at Paramount as a guard. After that, I was 20. I was a security guard riding around on a bike. Hey.
Now, that one I remember, I think,
I
because of
had
your
keys
family
and a
ties
radio.
and Cheers
well,
connections.
Mark Price is the one. Well, I wanted to, all I ever thought, I'm going to get a job at Paramount, leave my picture in every office. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get in a movie. I'm going to get hired.
Going to be actor, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
be an actor. I'm studying with Stella Adler, living in my car.
Seriously?
At one point. Yeah, she trained me. It's all I
my
ever wanted
God,
to do was
man.
act. That's all I want to do to this day.
Stella Adler was a big deal.
To this day. Yeah, she was my teacher. She trained me for 8 years, man. Yeah. I lived in my car because I couldn't afford Stella and an apartment. So I chose to get the best training and be homeless for a year. Yeah.
If that isn't a lesson.
That's absolutely true.
Wow. There's your commitment.
So, so all I wanted to do was act. That's all I ever wanted to do. And I met Mark Price, and the next thing you know, like, I'm doing stand-up. Really?
Because he was doing stand-up. He was a stand-up guy.
Everyone, here's the thing. In 1985, when I met Mark, let's say I met Mark in September 85. I guess first time I went on stage, February 86. So at that time, small theater in LA was dying. And I mean like a real bad death, like a barren, drought-ridden desert. Like it was really dying. And when I met Mark, and he was like, "Oh my God, Richie, you're so funny. You should do stand-up comedy." And I'm like, "What, are you kidding? I'm an actor. I studied with Stella Adler. Play Falstaff in Shakespeare in the Park."
Did you really?
I was 20. I was too young to play Falstaff, but I did. I mean,
Wow.
but it was totally not right. It was one of those productions where you're playing characters you're not right to play, and then you make up in a fat suit.
You're in the Falstaff Society, though, and you ended up in comedy. So it's all, I feel like it's all comes
Yeah,
around.
but I was also doing Inherit the Wind, which that's the thing that really made me decide I was not going to be a lawyer. Meeting Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee when I did Inherit the Wind when I was in high school. And that was my first introduction to method acting and the right to think. That's what the message behind, you're familiar with Inherit the Wind? Do you know it?
No, I don't at all.
Really?
Really?
Inherit the Wind is a Pulitzer Prize winning play that became a movie, and it's about the Scopes monkey trials.
Yep, still lost.
Okay. Back in 1923, a teacher in, I think, Mississippi named John T. Scopes chose to teach evolution in the classroom as opposed to creationism.
Okay.
And it made nationwide news. They arrested him, put him in jail, and put him on trial. Clarence Darrow flew in and defended him.
Wow.
And William Jennings Bryan, who was a staunch Bible Belt politician who ran for president twice and lost, came in to prosecute him. And it was a big deal. And Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee wrote a play based on this called Inherit the Wind, because he that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise at heart, is the Bible quote that it comes from. And they made a movie about it. Harry Morgan was the judge. Darren Stevens, what's his name? Dick York.
The other Darren.
Yeah.
The bewitched.
And
The other Darren.
Spencer Tracy played Drummond, the Clarence Darrow character. Yeah, it was a big movie.
Wow.
You should watch it. You will love this movie.
Historically speaking?
No, intellectually speaking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's about the right to think.
Thanks for the compliment.
Seriously.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But anyway, I did that when I was 17, and the playwrights, my acting teacher in high school, who was teaching us the method, brought the playwrights into our final dress rehearsal. And afterwards they spoke to us, and I was just beyond moved.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I love that.
Yeah, and that's what.
And that's how I got into stand-up comedy.
No, yeah, I never.
That's what this button was.
Yeah, because you said you get to live your dream.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
funny,
exactly.
Like I never ever wanted to be a comedian ever.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why it took me so long to get good at it. Really, my first 3-4 years doing it, I was like an actor acting like a stand-up.
There,
comic.
you nailed it.
I would
That's
go
it.
on stage like, "Hey, how you guys doing?"
Who's ready to laugh?
Thinking
So-
that's how comedians were supposed to act.
And at some point, you how did you find yourself? What the hell made? I'm sorry, but this just got like interesting again to me. How did you get over that hump? Because I see a million people out there
About
what you're talking about, performing instead of being
15
themselves.
or 18 years into doing it, I went on stage one night and here in town, and it was raining. and I had like a coat and my notebook and a drink, and I had stuff in my hand. And when I went on stage at the Improv, I didn't put anything down on the piano or anything. I just started working, holding stuff, okay? It's actually a really good acting exercise to create obstacles for you in character so that you can work in character to solve problems. So I got on stage and I realized that the only thing I put down, like my jacket was like over my shoulder, and I put like the notebook and the drink down on the stool, but I was like holding the jacket. So I never took the mic out of the stand. And if you can't tell, I am very expressive. And I think it's part of my undying charm. And I realized that for the first time on stage, I wasn't holding the microphone. You know, guys take the microphone out, put stand behind you. And I wasn't,
Make it a thing.
Start the pace.
I wasn't holding the microphone, and I was the most comfortable I'd ever been. Literally.
Ooh.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're being you instead of the stand-up guy.
I was now you got to remember, I was already headlining. I was on the road. I've been doing this 18 years. This was my
Bowling
freaking
alleys, that
job.
type of thing? Sorry. I'm sorry.
You got a lot of nerve for a guy who's buying the fucking Kramer set.
We didn't buy it.
Or whatever.
You should know the story before you try to
told
make
me,
jokes.
No, you told me the story. I know.
You know it.
I know. Actually, I have a question about that. I'm going to get to in a second.
Okay.
But anyway, so that night was like the first time I ever didn't take the mic out, and I was realized I was comfortable, and I was, I was funnier than I'd ever been because there was a part of me that was never seeped into whatever was going on stage. And for the first time, I felt like myself on stage.
Instead of the two different people.
Instead of the two different people. And
Fuck, that's awesome.
That was sort of...
That is so awesome.
It's a really neat moment to know.
To be able to point at it
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, you want to know the story? I'll tell you exactly
Yeah.
what happened. To me, that is awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So for me, not taking the microphone out of the stand made all the difference in the world for me. And I come from the theater, so I can hit the back of a comedy club that holds 600 people
Absolutely.
by projecting.
Yeah.
I can walk away from the mic. I grab the stand sometimes, I'll drag it across the stage with me, you know what I mean? But
I notice here even you have very good technique.
I'm not taking the mic out of the stand. Yeah, I'm not taking the mic out of the stand
Right.
anymore,
Right.
Yeah,
That's
no
so
more
cool.
holding it. There's a couple of bits or things where I might get really passionate about something, or someone might piss me off, or I'll be like, oh, and I'll take the mic out.
But
of the
then
stand.
that's a taking the glasses off type moment.
That's
right?
like taking
That's a
the
whole thing.
that is like taking the glasses off
Yep.
type moment,
Yep.
and that'll last for a few minutes, and then the glasses go back on
Yep.
again.
Why I oughta. That
You
whole-
know what I
yeah.
mean? I would say out
Show
of
you I'm serious.
an hour to an hour and 10, 15 minutes on stage, that might be out of the stand a total of 10, maybe.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it changed everything.
All right, Letterman desk question, and then that's it. Did you have a question about that, or was that, or is that off the air?
Yes. So you've got coming here a new set.
Yep.
Do the viewers know about it?
They sure do. They helped us decide whether or not to do it. I'm throwing it up there on the screen right now. We got that guy there.
The Dave Letterman set is going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. The actual set.
The actual home base set.
The
yeah.
actual home base set.
We're going to set it up a little differently to keep this intimacy, I think, but yeah. Yeah.
Are you going to put the guests on the side?
It's likely going to be on that side, yeah.
Interesting.
We're switching it up a little bit. I think we've drawn out some things, and we think it's going to work. Obviously, we won't know until we get everything here. I mean, I've never seen this stuff in person, so I mean, I have no idea. We had the measurements, but to actually have it here is a different thing. So,
When you guys have sex, does he say things to you like, kids, coming next? I don't know. Does he
it's really
do
not that
Letterman?
type of thing. You know,
I'm
you
just
remember this
kidding.
was offered to me, right?
Yes. I know the whole Mike story. I know the whole
Yeah,
thing.
the whole thing is coming out soon.
You know,
this
I
is all
know.
this is all becoming. I mean, the story for this documentary just continues to get better the more we do this.
You're Kramer. You understand what you have to do.
What's that?
Eventually, the end goal here
Mm-hmm.
is to get Dave on the show, right?
Is it? Is that
I would think to interview
I don't know if it's the end goal, but it's definitely
that may be one of those achieving perfection things,
Yeah.
and we're going to get into a whole nother discussion.
There would be nothing perfect about having Dave Letterman on your show.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's not
It
the
would-
goal, I wouldn't say. If that happens along the way, I think that'll be a delight,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
would be very excited and very pleased. But I don't know that that's a goal.
Oh,
I'm not
really?
sure we're even. Yeah, I mean,
I would think that would be super cool to like interview Dave.
It
on,
will be super cool. That does not mean it's the final goal.
Okay, sorry.
Just, to hold you accountable to words and stuff.
Yeah.
I know you like that.
It will be awesome. It will be awesome.
It's going to be the coolest.
All right.
Richard Chassler, you are awesome. I'm so excited for your tour. Thank you for coming here as
Thank
your
you for
last stop
having me.
before it.
I appreciate it. I love coming here. I'll
Have
come all
a
the time.
blast on the road. And please, I can't wait for your update.
Follow my Instagram because there's going to be a lot of Instagramming, and I think it's going to be some goofy shit. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see.
He's buying a camera, folks.
It could
He's
be
buying a camera.
By the
for
way, this could wind up being like the tamest tour ever. So this might sell on the church circuit. I have no clue.
The Brown Rice and Vegetable Tour coming to a city near you. Richard Chassler, thank you for being here. We love you, buddy.
you.
Thank you so much for having me, you
Mrs.
guys.
Ryan, we love you. We love everybody at home. I don't remember what's going on tomorrow, but definitely more desk Doppler, whatever the heck that's called, desk watch, and whatever else. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for spending
you.
time with us.
Was that a terrible episode?
That was a comedy.
It
It's a
was?
comedy guy.
Oh, yeah. It's a comedy guy. It was fantastic. It was